So when we talk about nervousness, it won't be an easy thing to make people laugh, but I guess that's the only way. Maybe, yeah. So we will see, and then what we can draw through this next 15 minutes. I can give a very simple answer to, in fact, we have a different, how do you say, ailments every time, healing of some particular thing. But the answer to that is very simple. Actually, what we do in this half an hour session, just reflect. Some of you keep coming here every Wednesday evening. And in this half an hour, no matter, let it be nervousness, which is the topic for today, but other things, even if you come in a very different mood, in a nervous way or in a happy way, this particular time automatically takes you in a different space, isn't it? So what we do to here in half an hour, even the healing prayer, praying for others, actually heals many of those things. And we will try to see why it works. So I hope everyone here has experienced at times the sensation of how nervousness feels. And is it a pleasant sensation or unpleasant sensation? It's not a very difficult question to answer, but it is an unpleasant sensation. And I have spoken about this many times, but I never feel it is enough when we talk about this. No? The topic is, today it is healing from nervousness, but sometimes whenever this so-called unpleasant feeling comes, there is a tendency to overcome them like that. 15 minutes we have. And actually, if I ask you, is it okay? I'll cure your nervousness in 15 minutes. We'll say, no, can we quicken it a little? Abhi chahiye. I want it now. Nobody wants to live with these unpleasant feelings more than, no, if possible, abhi ke abhi. And that's where I think part of the mistake lies in itself. But we don't have the same problem with pleasant sensation. If I tell you that the pleasant sensations are going to last for 15 minutes also, now all of a sudden you will come with a different issue now. No, can they last a little longer? It's okay, we have time. 20 minutes kar sakte hai na? And if you see, then even if we say, that's the crux of the spiritual path, where they say it got to be even-minded and cheerful under all circumstances. See, under all circumstances. And if you observe within yourself, we are okay with the pleasant part of it, but not quite okay with the unpleasant part of it. I am even-minded and cheerful, more even-minded and cheerful when pleasant sensations are coming, but less even-minded, Divine Mother. And that won't work. And as simple as that. And you see why. And that is what I think Yogananda also talks quite a bit about nervousness. If you want to overcome nervousness, or for that matter, any kind of a feeling, he says, what is the long-term solution? He says, you have to choose the middle path. I am in Chandigarh at the moment, and there is a big road goes. Chandigarh is one of the nicely designed cities. So there is a road which sort of divides one part of the city to the other, and it is called the Madhya Marg. And it's very nice. Buddha's teaching, if you have heard of it, he's also talked about because if you know, Buddha also did a lot of austerities, to the extent he almost became so frail that he couldn't do his practices. So finally he says, this won't work. And he drank a little cup of milk, and then he realized after that. And then he suggested the path towards enlightenment, towards wisdom, is not that of extreme indulgence. That is not also about extreme abstinence. Dono karke dekh liya. Both those things I have done, they don't work. You have to follow a path which is somewhere in between. And that is the crux of it. Yogananda ji says we take nervousness for granted. It's a very small. These words are sometimes very simple. Nervous, it's all about nerve, isn't it? So anything which is having any effect on them, is the point of discussion today. 15 minutes we have, out of which 6 minutes I have just gave up trying to make you guys smile, and that is the problem of making joke. You don't even get to the point. Time khatam, and you will say, my goodness, because everybody has kept their shoes and nervousness at the door, no? Thinking here I'll find something, so I will only take my chappal, not the nervousness. But this is what the thing is, like we're talking about nerves. Anything what affects our nerves, everything. Name the emotion, it will have some effect on the nerves. Let it be pleasant or unpleasant. And that's why he said madhya marg, middle path. He says we like to get too excited. That we don't have problem. The other extreme, we have a problem. He says excitement. What is getting excited? It is the same system. If you are overworking it, you're going to cause some kind of a trouble in that. And then when the trouble happens, we experience the other extreme of it. And then we say, oh my goodness, how do I fix it? So a path which is middle path. As I mentioned the first time, we don't need to deny any of these experiences. You see, it's a work in progress. So that is the most important point I wanted to give. Whenever particular emotion, unpleasant thing also comes, let it be. You will see inside you a lot of resistance also comes to that. But you have to be wise, because this resistance actually doesn't help. It shields the problem. So do we want to look at the issue and then solve it, or we want to shield it, protect it? Cupboard mein, very well protected. I won't open the cupboard because what? I don't want anybody to see what is inside me. But you can't hide it. You know it is inside. The only way it will be healed is when you open it and then see what it is. Everything, including nervousness. Why do we get nervous when we don't like it? Because everything, it is pointing something much deeper within ourselves. And when we are willing to look at it, then we open it, and then there is a potential, the root cause. One of the thing again that Master and then Buddha said, we started with Buddha, so we'll use his words. Say like a cessation of suffering comes when we understand the root cause of the problem. Nervousness is just the how do you say, the face of something which is pointing to something much more deep rooted. And what is that deep rooted thing? In a very simple term, it is when we become indulgent into something, our own preferences, our own conditioning. Me is the problem. I will read some of Yogananda's words, and then I'll end with something I wanted to share. He says, the most important thing to remember is that nervousness is caused by yourself. Wrong eating, oversex, worry, acting without calmness, or too much idleness, or overactivity. All these are the causes of nervousness. And that's why what did he suggest? As I said, remember moderation in eating, bodily enjoyment, bodily impulses, work, play, and social leads to happiness, which is health, mental efficiency, and reduce nervousness. What is the opposite of nervousness? It is calmness. So think about more in terms of if we choose a life which is more calmness inducing, which basically nurture calmness. Master had said to become calmly active and actively calm. So when you are calm and you are doing an activity, it is natural that that calmness emanates into every activity. But ulta, the other, he said, calmly active and actively calm. The moment you start feeling some agitation, we don't need to worry about the causes yet or anything like that. What do we need to work on is actively returning to that calmness. And that's why I actually see how do we reach to that calmness? Again, there's no magic solution. That's why we actually go and meditate, practice all our techniques. One more thing I want to read, which is from Master, and this is how I want to end. This is a very important point I will want to emphasize today, where he says, always act calmly, be calm in everything, be actively calm and calmly active. Then he says, you can contact cosmic energy and bring energy into your body. Your body is like a little bubble of energy in the cosmic energy. God is everywhere. He controls planets, stars, everything that you see. And yet, he is not disturbed. He is above this world, yet he is in this world. You must reflect the image and likeness of God. See, whenever we get nervous or anything like that, when we hassled by something, we become too personal about some situation at hand. You say, I'm responsible and I'm not able to fulfill my responsibility to the fullness of me. And then all of a sudden, there we go. I will quote my own way, Swami Jayaji, who is a spiritual, Pune people know him very well, but all of us also. So he was talking about the time when a lot of activities were happening in India, and with lot of activities, what comes? Lot of issues. There's a funny way we say there's only one problem with community. What is that problem? It has people. Again, it is not an against, so I'm not speaking against anything, you just take it with a funny way. And so there was a lot of things were happening, a lot of projects, and he realized that things were just going everywhere. And he was getting hassled more and more. Like, it's just how do I address it? I try to fix this is breaking, and then everything. And then, so in that moment, while he was just trying to figure out how on earth am I going to handle all of it, that thought came to him, wait a minute, whose work is this? And then in that moment, all of a sudden, it brought him back to more to his center. And then he realized, this is Babaji and Master's work. Whose biggest responsibility? That is their biggest responsibility. Am I a willing channel? Absolutely. So why am I getting so hassled about it? And this is what I think it brings us back. We become so personal about ourselves. The thought that not only our projects, which is so-called we are responsible, our children, my spouses, Sangha, this is also taken care by actually the same intelligence. So when this kind of a thought, we come to, even in this moment, if you just look at this thought, it just brings immediately to kind of a solace. Like when we were children, all of a sudden mommy comes home and says, thank you, now I can rest, isn't it? But here the Divine Mother is actually there all the time. She is actually doing. Only problem is sometimes we forget. Not sometimes, most of the time we forget. And what is the simple solution? Actually, nervousness is great. Getting hassled is great, because the moment we know I'm getting hassled, I'm getting nervous, meaning what? Again, I became too personal, as if I am going to do it. So you thank that emotion and say, thank you. Now I remember I am a servant of God. He will take care of it, or she will take care of it. And in that moment, it at least will bring you back to a space of calmness. From there now, all these agitations, even they will linger for some time. They won't magically go away. But we can be calmly nervous for some time. I am already calm. That nervous energy will stay, linger for some time, go away. But I have cut it by just that one thought. If you strongly believe, and that's what we meditate on, is because we want to bring that into more and more our experience. Because the moment I know it with my little tangible experience, it is true. That thought has the capacity, I have cut the root cause. And if I cut the root cause, yes, like a tree, if you cut it from the trunk, it still lives for some time. These things will remain for some time, but inevitably they will pass. So twofold. Reflect on your life. Fine, simple living is what Master has recommended. Huh? Make your own definition of simplicity. Doesn't have to be too austere, doesn't have to be too flamboyant. But remember this thing, we can choose one extreme. When we understand that to our core, we are happily able to choose the middle path. Not just because, oh my goodness, what a boring life, all of us. No excitement left. And then it becomes much easier to remain calm under all circumstances, or more or less calm in most of the circumstances. Okay, we'll take a moment. Whatever these thoughts bring into our heart, a special energy of satsang. And this energy carries a lot of healing for ourselves and for everyone. So just feel that energy in your heart. And let's share it with our friends, our family, our loved ones, truth seekers everywhere, and for all souls in need. Let's offer a prayer together. Divine Mother, Thou art omnipresent. Thou art in all Thy children. Manifest Thy healing presence in all bodies, all minds, and in all souls. Oh. 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 Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.